So today I decided to do a Vice City all missions tier list. Now this is not by speedrun definition. This is more from a casual standpoint, but I will attribute the speedrun strats into it. Now this was made by someone, I have no idea who this was made by. I found this on Tier Maker, but I put the missions in a more better order. So they, of course, included a few missions that aren't technically missions as defined in the speedrun, but it's whatever. So, what should we start with? Well, we should start now. In the beginning is the beginning cutscenes. It's where Tommy, Harry Lee, there's two bodyguards, and then the Vance brothers get ambushed by Diaz's men. And like when they get to Vice City, and like the cutscene in Maka's Bistro. It's obviously important to the plot, but it's just cutscenes. I haven't watched those cutscenes in over a year. I'm gonna put it just here in the middle at B tier, because it's necessary, but it's cutscenes. Now that leads us to an old friend, which is exactly the same, but it starts from the hotel. It's actually a mark you walk into, but it's just a cutscene. It's not fantastic, because it's just a cutscene, but I'm gonna put it in C tier, because again, it's necessary for the plot, but it's also not great. Moving on to some actual gameplay. The party. This introduced almost every character in Vice City, funnily enough. Especially like the assets and some of the side gang missions and stuff. Like, just Torrance shows up, for example, from Love Fist. And you meet Cortez and Mercedes and Diaz and everyone there. But I don't want to focus on the cutscenes too much outside of the first two. So I'm going to focus more on the gameplay. And to be honest, it is driving to 3 markers. That is all it is. And again, it's essential to the plot. But it's not fantastic of a mission. And a lot of the early game missions are like that. And the amount of times we have to reset on the party, the speedrun. Oh, God. I'm going to put it in C tier. Back alley brawl. Okay, so we meet Kent Paul in this mission. We get a phone. We meet Lance outside of the deal because we interacted with Victor Vance. It's a pretty okay mission. It's also the ammunition tutorial, though you don't actually go in and buy any weapons unless you choose to. I think all you can buy at that point is a pistol. It's a pretty alright mission. Again, it's an early game mission. There's not a lot going on. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. Okay, Jury Fury. It's supposed to be kind of like the damaging cars tutorial, I guess. Like extra melee weapons, because in GTA 3, all you had was the fists and the baseball bat, and it gives you an opportunity to use the hammer, and which obviously wasn't in GTA 3. In the speedrun, we totally skipped this mission. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Riot. That's going straight to F tier, because it is such a quick mission. It's not that important to the plot, because it unlocks Avery missions, which are not important to the plot really that much, although the last mission, 2-Bit Hit, unlocks the gang storyline. Avery is not directly, like, part of a gang. It's just him trying to drive down property prices spikes a gang war. But Riot has no important part of the story. It's the last lawyer mission. Treacherous Swine. Treacherous Swine is the first Cortez mission. You get a chainsaw and you chainsaw Gonzalez or kill him in some other way. It's the pay and spray tutorial, essentially, though you don't actually have to use it. I don't think there's really any mission that you have to pay and spray, because you can just bribe star. And as long as you're driving is good enough. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna put it in C. Right, if we're looking at just speedrun aspect is F, but casual I put in B because it's a good mission. I didn't even enjoy it in casual that much. I couldn't figure out how to destroy the vans very well, because again, all you have is a pistol, which can get you the first 2 vans, but it's unlikely you have anything more than that. So what do you do for the 3rd van? Again, casually. Mall shootout. Not a huge fan of this mission, I'll be honest. It's not terrible. Is it better than Treacherous Swine, though? It probably is. And that's for one reason I love Pierre Laponte, the guy you kill in the mission. He's hilarious. But the what is the GIGN? I think that's who comes after you. Just uses SWAT models. Again, early game missions aren't going to be fantastic, so I'm going to leave it in B tier. Guardian Angels. Okay, this mission's actually, although it's an auto scroller, it's pretty good. You get introduced personally to Diaz. It's a pretty good mission. In the speedrun, it's a reset point, to be honest. But technically every mission's a reset point, but this is a semi-big one. It's not huge though. It's a very good mission. You get introduced to assault rifles with the Kruger. It's pretty good. I'm gonna put it in S tier. I'll put it in A tier for speedruns. It's a pretty good mission. Okay, the chase, that's going straight to C tier, and the only reason it's not going all the way to F tier is because of the speedrun. You can skip the actual chase part. If you couldn't, that would go to F tier. It's the first Diaz mission. You're intended to chase a guy across the rooftop and then chase them all around Vice Point until you eventually ends up in Prawn Island. Or in the case of the speedrun, you just drive him straight to his house. It's a whatever mission. Like, it's important for the next mission, but then those 2 missions aren't important to the story at all. The only thing Phnom Penh does, which I guess we'll move on to now, I'm gonna put in B tier. Little better than the chase, because you get to use an M60. M60 is the best gun in the game. Maybe not, but minigun's probably better. But I love the M60. It's my favorite weapon. The only thing plot-wise, other than, killing I guess it would be the Street Wannabes leader. I guess that's who it is. There's nothing they ever do with him again. Like, the chase and Phnom Penh 86 is just their own mini storyline. Nothing ever happens with those missions again. The only important thing Phnom Penh does is it unlocks a second island. And that's just because, the hurricane ended. There's nothing important plot-wise it does. But it's a cool mission. Shooting is, like, epic. You have this really powerful gun. You're shooting from a helicopter attacking this gang base. Like, I'm going to actually bump it up to A tier. It's pretty good. The fastest boat, we'll put it in C tier. It's a fast mission, and again, it's also integral to supply and demand. I'm not going to talk much about the fastest boat because it's, again, the four main Diaz missions, so excluding Rub Out, which is technically a Diaz mission, even though you kill him in it. It's like the first two missions are own mini story, and the last two missions are their own little mini story. You use info you gain from the first and third missions to help with the second and fourth missions. Is how that works. And the second and fourth missions are both auto-scrollers, in a way. Supply and Demand is a full auto-scroller. Phnom Penh's a partial one at the beginning. Which, moving on to Supply and Demand, it's not as good as Phnom Penh, but it's still alright. We'll leave it in B tier. You only use a Kruger, and it is... You can soft lock yourself for one in multiple ways, which Phnom Penh is not really that easy to do, other than shooting Lance in the speedrun. And again, a Kruger is not as powerful as an M60. It's not even the best assault rifle. It's a pretty chill mission. Moving on to Sir Yes Sir. This is going to be our first S tier. It's pretty epic. Now, it's a little counterintuitive, but it's pretty epic, I think. Stealing a tank from the military, and this early in the game. I mean, we are several missions in, but still, like, this is pretty early in the game to be battling the military. Like, it gives you a lot of different ways to approach this mission. There's a lot of ways to stop the convoy. You can go in a full-out assault, like destroy all the vehicles, kill everyone, get the tank. Or you can just go and speedrun, click the top guy, and just get in the car or the tank. It has a tank, need I say more? Exactly. It's a pretty epic mission, and it's a pretty fun mission even in the speedrun. Death Row. Okay, I know a lot of people would put this at F. It's one of the... It's like the... It's a pretty big shootout. It's one of the first shootouts that you actually have to at least fight some people, and it's on the ground. Otherwise, Phnom Penh and Supply and Demand would count towards that. The only other one I could think of that early is Guardian Angels. Death Row, I'm gonna put in C tier because it's still pretty terrible in the speedrun, and I know a lot of people hate it. But it's not that bad once you get better at it. Rub Out. This one I have to look at more casually because in the speedrun, this mission is so easy. I'm gonna put an A tier. It's a boss fight. I love GTA boss fights. It's pretty epic when you do it casually. Like, you're taking down this big drug baron. C tier. The mission's pretty cool. Like, fighting this big drug baron, whatever, breaking into his mansion. Obviously, casually, we skip all of that, and we just chainsaw him because his AI hasn't even activated yet. That's why it's not going straight to S tier. If we were taking this specifically from a casual standpoint, I would keep it in S tier. Moving on, Shakedown. This is going straight to F tier. This mission makes very little sense. You unlock assets for one, because you start up your protection racket, but the way you set up said protection ring is stupid. You go to a mall and smash windows. Is that supposed to scare the shopkeepers? That's it. Okay, let me see. There's 1, 2, 3. I think there's 5 stores that you smash the windows of. You smash Starbrush, you smash Gash, and there's the Vinyl Countdown on the second floor. There's the random jewelry store on the other side, and then there's that one that's not actually an accessible store over by the Infernus. That's 5. Why are you smashing windows? What purpose does that serve? It serves none. It really serves none. Like, sure, you're scaring some shopkeepers, but like, they're like, oh, man, my windows were shattered. Guess I gotta pay money to this guy. It makes no sense. Yeah, DE, it's over in just a few windows. It's stupid. It's even worse in Definitive Edition. You smash a couple windows. You smash like tar brushes and gashes, and that's it. It's terrible. It's a terrible mission. Bar Brawl is, continuing on from the previous mission. It's pretty bad. But it's not as bad as Shakedown. It makes no sense, because how all of a sudden are you getting this cafe to pay protection to you? Like, you smashed up the mall's windows. This cafe is next to Ocean View. Where did it come from? And then some of these DPB guys have some pretty crazy weapons. Like, the guys you chase have M4s. Now, this is a fairly late game mission, to be fair. At this point, I would consider this, I guess from a all the missions perspective, this is like in the middle. I from an OSSG perspective, this is a late game. You only got a few missions left. But again, it's an OSSU. From an all mission standpoint, Bar Brawl is somewhere in the middle, but they have M4s. That's the most powerful weapon any enemy wields in this game, because no one wields an M60 or like a minigun. I don't even know if anyone... I mean, a sniper, I guess, but that's not as powerful as an M4. It does more damage, but, you know. Because let's see, there's these guys here in, like, mid-game. Like, you just completed the first part of the game. Only other guys, I mean, the military wields M4s in the military base only. There are a couple guys in cannon fodder. That it? No one wields them in any of the main missions. Anyone else, for that matter. I don't think anyone else wields an M4. Trying to think. Maybe Martha's mugshot. But both of those are later, technically, than this mission. Though, technically, you can do them both before Bar Brawl. It's not really intentional in the story. I'm gonna put it in C tier. We got a lot of C tier missions. Copland, it's a very difficult mission. It's one of the hardest missions in the game. Especially in the speedruns. Especially in OSSU, where you're driving on a bike with 5 stars. Hundo, you do the same thing, to be fair. Unless you take the backup helicopter. Copland, though, from a casual standpoint, is a pretty epic mission. You're bombing a cafe disguised as police officers. You're properly role-playing as police officers. And then, like, you have FBI going after you. You gotta get back to the mansion. Nice badge, officer. Nice badge, indeed. It's a pretty epic mission. And I'm gonna put it in A tier. Only reason it doesn't go in S tier is because, again, from the speedrun standpoint. All Hands on Deck is a pretty bad mission. I'm gonna put it in F tier. It's an auto-scroller where you fight off a bunch of guys. They can randomly spawn on your boat, seemingly. I think it has to do with a boat, even if it's destroyed next to you. It's very wacky in how it's, how the auto-scroller works. You can very rarely even pick up the ammo from the enemies. Or if you kill the other sailors, not Cortez, though, to get their ammo. It's pretty weird. It's a very, very clunky auto-scroller. It's one of the most clunky missions in the game. Weirdly scripted. It's pretty bad. Like it's so slow moving in the speed run. We actually answer like all of our calls we have during this mission because like you're most of the time you're not doing anything else because you have to blow up just some certain boats and then wait like 2 minutes and then shoot down some helicopters and that's the mission. There's a lot of waiting. It's pretty bad. 4 iron is 4 iron's gonna go in F tier as well. It's pretty bad. If you do it the speedrun way, you literally just snipe him from outside. The mission's over in like 30 seconds. Casual way, you're supposed to enter the golf course and then somehow kill this guy with no weapons, and he has actually more health than a normal ped. His bodyguards have golf clubs. That's all you get is a golf club. Obviously, there are ways to enter the golf course through without the metal detector, and again, we just snipe him. But like you chase him around the golf course in golf carts if you can even manage to get into him without his bodyguards just dragging you out constantly. You do nothing else. You can chase him for like 5 minutes and then eventually the mission fails because he gets away or something like that. I don't fully remember. I don't do the mission casually. It's a bad mission. And that goes on to Demolition Man, the most infamous mission from Vice City. Now, having played this game so many times, maybe it's not as much as some of the other games, but no one's created Vice City Stories or Liberty City Stories checklist. Vice City Vice City, I've played a good amount, I'd say. It was the very first GTA game. It's taking it from a casual standpoint. First-time players hate this mission. All right, they have the Avery effect, as Eben called it, where they think the Avery missions are required. It's not, but this mission is so early on in the game. They come across this, they haven't flown anything yet, most likely. Because it's very likely that they'll go do Avery missions immediately after completing Riot instead of the Cortez missions. That being said, they'll eventually come across this mission. It's pretty bad for casual and new players. Because again, they have not encountered flight yet. On PC, if your controls aren't bound correctly, you can't fly forwards or backwards. You can only fly left or right. I didn't figure that out for over a month or two. I don't know why it didn't work. Even now, if I were to do this mission normally, which we don't because we insta-passed it because it's such a boring and long mission, and you can't do anything during it, like take calls or pick up collectibles or do rampage even, there's nothing you can do. But I'm not going to put in F tier. I'm going to put it in C tier. I really should have a D tier for Demolition Man. Can I do a D tier for Demolition Man? Anyway, moving on. 2-bit hit. This mission's better than the previous two. You disguise yourself as a Cuban dude, and you trigger gang war. And it actually has a unique mechanic, where the guy you're chasing, if he gets into one of the Romero hearses, which is a unique vehicle to this mission, by the way, it becomes essentially what it does is it drops out coffins which will explode for some reason if your car runs over it. Very, very confusing. again, this mission starts. This is the start of the gang storyline. For that, I'm going to put it up in A tier. Stun Poke Challenge, that's going straight to F tier, and that's gonna happen with a lot of the just collect a bunch of checkpoints. This mission, well, I'm actually gonna put it in C because it is the first Umberto missions where you meet Umberto and his father. It's how you get kind of accepted into working for Umberto. Cannon Fodder is so freaking scripted. But it's still somehow a good mission. It's like the only super scripted mission in this game that's actually good. The funny thing is, the car at the start of the actual fight that you have to do, that's like blocking the way in Haitian spawn, you have to destroy it to progress. If you get into the car, the game is like, oh crap. He's thinking of a non-creative way to do this. You know what? Just blow up the car. Just kill him. It's essentially a rigged car. It makes no sense. It's weird, okay? But it's still pretty cool that you're, like, retaliating against the Haitians, or whatnot. Trying to, like, get into a drugs factory. You escape in the van. The van has a funny glitch with the Haitian. I won't go that much into depth. But I'm pretty sure I had it in my hundo run yesterday. Pretty funny. I'm gonna leave it in B tier, just in the middle. Naval Engagement is, again, one of the hardest missions in the game. You arrive on a boat, you destroy 2 boats, kill a bunch of guys, they all have, like, Krugers, that can instantly melt you. You can instantly get melted. That's the problem. And then the problem is there's 2 guys at the very end on either, actually I think there's like 3 guys on either side of the mansion, and then 1 guy in the other escape. They all have stubby shotguns, which at full health and armor will like 2 hit you. On just full health, 1 hit if you're close enough. It's pretty bad. It's the cheap shot, but it's still not that terrible of a mission. As long as you have good weapons, you have full health and armor, like, casually I'd recommend doing Pizza Boy and Vigilante before this mission, so you have as much health and armor as possible. Again, that's not convenient in the speedrun. Naval Engagement, I'm going to put in B tier as well. It's hard. And it's a good challenge, but sometimes it can be really terrible. And it can crash your game in all missions, so that's cool. Juju Scramble makes very little sense. It's the first Antipole or Haitians mission. You have to go and click. I haven't watched a cutscene in a long time, so I don't fully understand whether these briefcases are actual drugs or if it's just stuff to help make her like tea potions. I don't fully remember. But I'm pretty sure it's just stuff to make her potions. Which means it makes no sense that cops come on you. You have 5 stars by the end of the mission. While the mission isn't that long, especially if you do the replay strat to get the 3rd briefcase, it's not that long of a mission. It's really not. It just makes very little sense. I'm gonna put it in C tier as well. Our C tier is growing. Bombs Away. It's not as bad as Demolition Man. I'd say the RC plane's a little more difficult to control, but this mission makes more sense. Like Demolition Man, why use an RC helicopter to blow everything up, right? Why not just go in and do it yourself? You blew up a cafe. But Bombs Away, you're attacking a gang from far away. Of course, you could have just bombed it with a normal plane instead of an RC plane. So it makes a little less sense, but not as bad as Demolition Man. Bombs Away, you bomb a bunch of Cubans while working for the Haitians unknowingly. I'm gonna put it in B tier. That's all you do. You just bomb a couple Cubans. This mission can be anywhere from like a minute and a half to like 5 minutes, depending on how long you're chasing the boats in the car for. We insta-pass it in all missions. And I think some hundo routes also insta-pass it. I don't, personally. Dirty Lickens, that's an F tier mission. All you do is you're supposed to snipe some of the Cubans and like this big fist fight that the Cuban and Haitians are doing, but the Cubans cheat by calling it backup. So you cheat the entire time. And you're supposed to snipe them. You can use whatever weapon you want. In fact, in all missions, we have nades at that point. So you just throw nades towards one group, just kill everyone there, and then M4 everyone else, or M60 or whatever weapon we have at that point. I'm pretty sure it's an M60 because we do it after Gunrunner. No, we don't. Do we have an M60? I don't know. Whatever weapon we have. Some hundo routes also have a minigun, so you can just everyone. Takes like 2 seconds. This mission is pretty dumb. And it's partially luck-based. Shojan Voodoo, it's pretty epic, to be fair. But it's not, like, overly epic. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. Because the way the mission's structured. Casually, or, like, the intended way, you're supposed to like kind of act like Haitian gang members, slowly park in and then go in and bomb the place. But you don't have to actually do that. You can just drive past the entire little convoy thing that you do. Just drive past everyone and immediately go and plant the bombs instead of parking nicely. And this mission can take like 2 minutes total. The driving's more than the actual mission. It's a fairly tight time limit though. And it's not fully obvious how you're supposed to exit the place. It's not really that obvious. It's a staircase around a corner that you never go to. There's not even like a collectible back there. It'd be a pretty cool place to have a hidden package or something. But it's empty back there. Like, there's nothing back there. So I'm gonna leave it at B tier. Love Juice. Okay. You go and pick up some drugs from a dealer that scams you. That's fine. You go kill him. That's fine. You go and they want some. The Love Fist wants some action. You go and pick up Mercedes. That's fine. My one big problem is the mission is why is getting back to the studio timed? Why? Like, Dark Victor 80 criticized this perfectly. Like, is Mercedes gonna be suddenly too old for them in a minute? Like, I'm pretty sure it fails you, like, it says that you have to get it back in time before Love Fist has to go perform. It's not the performance time yet. And, like, you can deliver at 1 second remaining. They're not gonna have time anyway. It's very strange. So I'm also gonna put it in B tier. Psycho Killer, that's probably an F tier mission, to be honest. You drive someplace and then just kill a guy. It's a classic GTA 4 style mission. I mean, it's important to the Love Juice storyline, but the Love Juice storyline is 3 missions total. And this only applies to the last mission. Because the biker missions, while that's technically for Love Fist, the biker missions are a whole another separate thing. You kill a guy that's been harassing Love Fist. He somehow lives no matter what way you kill him. I mean, you can drown him even if you wanted, and then like throw 30 grenades in the water and he'll live somehow. You can headshot him. He will live somehow. It's really strange, story-wise. But anyway, Allied Wheels of Steel is just a race style mission. The only reason I'm not putting it in F tier and I'm putting it in C tier is because God bikes. This is where you can get the God bike from, which you use in you only use it in the mission for all missions. Like, you just use it for the race and then you ditch it. In Hundo, we actually use it for several of the races. We use it for, I think, the first 3 races, at least in my route. I think maybe use it for 4 or 5 of them in other routes. It's a little strange, but it's not terrible. It's a race mission. It can't go really that higher than C. Messing with the man, I'm gonna put in A tier. People struggled with this mission casually. It's pretty interesting. Because it's not clear actually how you're supposed to like gain chaos. It's supposed to be like cause as much chaos as you can. But the way they actually check that is how many bullets are hitting an object instead of explosions and all that crazy stuff. So that's why it's not full on S tier. But it's a pretty cool mission. Like you're proving yourself that you want to go show how tired of the world you are and whatnot. So we're gonna put an A tier. Hogtied, that is it's a B tier mission, to be honest. You go and steal back Mitch Baker's bike from the street wannabes, and then you get chased by vans and stuff. It's a short and sweet mission. It's all right. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. It's just mid. Last biker mission, Publicity Tour. That's a straight up. I was gonna put an F tier, but it has a nice reference to speed, so we'll keep it in C tier. Hello. I don't like the mission. It's one of my least favorite. It's very boring, with the replay strats. But I don't like doing the mission the intended way, so I don't look forward to this mission ever. It's actually the very last story mission we do in Hundo, so it's very boring ending. You just kind of drive around while they talk. It's just dialogue based. It's essentially an auto-scroller. And then replays while it slows it down by a couple of seconds if you're not great at the timing, which I'm not. But it makes it easier. Because if you slow down, you blow up speed style. Checkpoint Charlie is straight up F tier. You collect a bunch of checkpoints in a boat, and you go on ramps, and boat and ramps don't go well together in Vice City, or any GTA game for that matter. Need I say more? No. Distribution, same thing, F tier. You sell 50 ice creams. This mission can take like 15 minutes. We pass it in every category, actually. You don't do anything. Also, a terrible mission. Recruitment Drive is, you meet Candy Sucks personally, and you pick up Mercedes, kill some dudes. It's a C tier mission. A lot of the film studio missions are really bad. Dildo, doo-doo, doo-doo, dodo, dildo, dodo. F tier. Collect a bunch of checkpoints. No, thank you. You're distributing flyers, but it's F mission. Thank you. Martha's Mugshot is... It's probably the... hello, I picked up Riot. Martha's Mugshot's probably the best Film Studios mission, and it's still pretty bad. It's still only a B tier. Because, you take photos of Martha, aka Alex Shrub, a politician, and Candy Sucks together, but it's an auto-scroller. You're just following them at the beginning. It's a very scary mission in Hundo, because you collect a bunch of packages, and it's very tight. It's pretty bad. You get 5 stars, and if you do it the intended way by going in the building, it actually is a lot more difficult. It's a very difficult mission if you do it casually, and still in the speed run, because you do keep the helicopter the entire time. You don't go in the building, you land on the roof. So it's not terrible, but they can just laser you at the end. So it's G Spotlight, F tier. You jump across a bunch of rooftops, your your bike gets destroyed most of the time. While you can do it with a helicopter, that makes it much easier. It's not the intended way. It's very bad. It's probably very censored in some parts of the world. It may straight up not even be in the game. But who knows? America. VIP is the start of the Kaufman Gabs missions. It's just you go somewhere, someone steals your taxi fare, you kill him. If you're willing to die for like $7, come on. It's a C tier. It's C tier. It's really C tier. Friendly Rivalry is another 3-van style mission, even though it's taxis. It's C tier. It's not a collector's fun kind of mission. It's a little weird, I guess. Just go destroy 3 taxis, lol. We insta pass it. You can probably dupe and fail the mission, to be honest. Unless the game crashes when you dupe it for some reason. Cabmageddon, S tier. Love the mission. The other taxi company somehow knows that you're quote-unquote dating Mercedes Cortez. So she's like, hey, Miss Cortez is requesting a pickup down at wherever it is, the docks, I guess. Over by 8Ball's bomb shop. And then it's like a whole roll-up of a bunch of the other taxis. They chase you down. There's a little corner you can hide in, protect yourself, and then you gotta kill the boss of the CEO company and the Zebra cab. It's a pretty cool mission, I must say. It's pretty fun. While it is on a timer, it's pretty epic to have a bunch of taxis chasing a rival taxi. It's pretty cool. Spilling the beans. Oh, there's another mission that's M4s. It's a required mission for the game. It is one of the required missions because it's Printworks. If you do it casually, you fight through the boat. It's actually probably not terrible. But you kind of just sprint through all of them. It's a coin flip whether you die or not. If you have full health and armor, you're not going to die, most likely. But, you know. And then you just go back with 2 stars. It's a B tier. It's B tier. Hit the Courier is it's a pretty good mission. It's an A tier. You go down to the docks yet again. You fight through. It's like where Phil's old place was in Vice City Stories. I don't know. It's where the deal took place, I guess, from at the beginning of the game. That little area. And a helicopter landing with some counterfeit plates. And it's the only fully female gang. Which goes to show Rockstar's, you know. Tommy fights through the place, gets the counterfeit plates. You can kill the woman with the counterfeit plates early, or you can chase her in a vehicle, kill her there, and try not to blow up the car with her in it. It's a pretty good mission, I'd say. No escape, that is straight up C tier. Only reason I would put an F tier if I was looking at this straight from the speedrun. It's really bad. But casually, you're not on a bike, you're not stopping to make a replay, you're usually okay. It's pretty cool. You're breaking into the police station, you're busting someone out of jail. There's a couple different ways to approach the mission. You can just full on break in, sprint through, or you can act like a cop, whichever you want to do. The Shootist, F tier. You're just shooting targets, and introduction to the rifle range side mission, which is a terrible side mission. Shootist is bad. It's shooting targets past the mission. You can use it to insta-pass Demolition Man, though. Yes, it's up to S tier. The Driver, also F tier. Now, I put Alloy Wheels of Steel. Where did I put it? I think I put in C tier. Driver is worse than Alloy Wheels of Steel. The mission is totally luck-based if you do it the intended way. You have a Sentinel, which is like one of the slowest, somewhat good cars. It's like probably the slowest car we will take for double insta pass, because it is common in the area where we glitch the cars. It's probably the slowest. Versus a Sabre Turbo, one of the fastest cars in the game. It's unfair. Now, you can switch vehicles. Obviously, he'll get ahead. Hillary will get ahead because he doesn't slow down for you. Which I'm pretty sure the street racers do. There's no way to skip this mission. Well, there is, but it's very slow. It's using Dirt Ring. So what we do is we switch to a PCJ, which can actually make the mission a little scarier too. While it is faster, because PCJ, it's slower. I mean, it's scarier. Because you have a 2-star wanted level, which isn't that bad, but that means cop traps can trigger. And there's two of them along the routes that can screw you. One by the hospital, and then one right near the end at the last bridge. Both of them can completely screw the race for you. I believe KZ in his 2020 SGDQ run, he had the second trap. He was so close to losing the race. The only thing is Hillary takes the most awkward route around the last corner, while you can just cut through like a bunch of bushes, and it's fine. Saves like 3 seconds, it feels like. But, yeah. What is this? The job? Okay. That is probably an S tier mission. It's very hard. One of the hardest, if not the hardest mission in the game. But we don't do it in speedruns. So, my memory is going to be a little bit bad here. You're robbing the bank. And there's a bunch of guards that are hidden around corners, which is a little annoying. But, again, makes sense. You're robbing a bank. It's one of the biggest crimes you do, along with blowing up the Haitian factory, blowing up the mall, or the cafe in the mall. Some other things you do. But it's a bank heist, which is pretty cool. It was the first big bank heist that you do in a GTA game, because I think there's one where you're a getaway driver in GTA 2 and 3. Because in GTA 3 there's the getaway, the last Joey mission. In GTA 2 I think there's one as well. I haven't played the game really. It's a pretty decent mission though. It's just very hard, especially at the end. You have 4 stars. The pay is right nearby. But the vehicle you're intended to take, the taxi, which Hillary's killed next to, is surrounded by cops. So you have to kill all of them. Gunrunner is... you get a bunch of weapons for it, so that's pretty good. But the mission can bug and spawn those weapons at 0-0, which isn't... I think there's a way to get to them, but not conveniently. But... I guess I'll put an A tier, because weapons you get from it are pretty good. Most of them are pretty good. You get, let's see, you get a revolver, an M60, a Spasm. Those are all great weapons. And then you get a MAC-10, which isn't great, but there's a strat that you can keep your MP5 that you do in Hundo. Hello, cat. Hello, Jax. Boomshine Saigon is a C tier. It's pretty interesting. Phil blew off his arm. You gotta drive him with drunk controls that you can actually remove by just pausing and unpausing. You can move it for like half the mission. Pause and unpause again. You have no drunk controls. It's a very fast mission. It's not important. I guess it sets up why Phil has no arm in LCS and GTA 3. Well, obviously, Vice City Stories takes place before Vice City. But that's about it. That's all you do. Roadkill. Completely random. F tier. You just gotta go and kill a guy. Because it's one of the assassination missions. The first one. You just gotta go and kill a pizza delivery boy. And at that point, the most powerful weapon we have is a chainsaw. So, you know, there's nothing important in this mission. It's just go and kill a guy. Waste the wife. Also, kind of random. It's the worst of the assassination missions, in my opinion. It's so bad. Um, you have to damage your target's car enough, and she'll explode. In Hundo, we actually skip it by just nading her in the cutscene with the close replay, and that skips the mission. But in all missions, you use a BF injection heavy from the chase, and it's a little odd because that thing has very little health. So your only way you can do it is because if you ram her enough, both you and her will be on fire. So you have to play close replay, put it out, but also put out hers. And if you tap her again, kind of screwed. So you're really the only viable thing you can do in that case is just flip her, so that when you play the close replay, she catches on fire again and finishes the mission. The mission can be anywhere from like 20 seconds to like 20 minutes. It's pretty bad. Auto side, it's better than the previous two. It's still not great because there is some randomness at the end. So I'll probably stick it in B tier actually because it makes a bunch of references to other games. Check out how the check-in is C tier probably. No, B tier. Because you assassinate a guy, it's a little weird at the beginning of the mission. I actually remember doing the mission from when I was very, very young. Like I played on the PS2 a very long time ago. I remember the distance meter and the woman walking. That's all I remembered. But loose ends. It's very different. You don't have a specific target to assassinate. You have to steal a briefcase and deliver it to the airport while fighting through this entire place. It's pretty. We'll actually stick in S tier. It's pretty good. It's a bunch of guys mainly with MP5s. You can fight through. In all missions, we just take a very long call because they won't shoot us during that call. Go all the way to the top, kill just a few people, and then take the helicopters at the top and just get all the shootout. I mean, in Hundo, this mission's like one of the most crucial missions in the game because you use it to do instant deliveries. Which I don't do in my route, but I will soon. So that's why it's S tier is instant deliveries. Cat the Collector is an A tier mission because they go to all your sets that you own, and only the ones that you own. They tax it, take the money from it for Sunny. It's the second to last like story mission in the game. The only unfortunate thing is it's assets, but it serves the purpose that it serves pretty good. And finally, we have Keep Your Friends Close. That's just a straight S tier. No debate about it. It's Keep Your Friends Close. Scarface. The Mansion. Well, there it is. That is it. All the missions. I took Benadryl before this. I'm sorry if I started slowing down later, because I got really tired. But thank you all for watching. This was fun. Maybe I'll do this for some other missions later on. For some other games, rather. Maybe I'll do it even later. And what time is it? Oh, it's 2. Jeez, that took almost an hour. Wow. What a waste of time. Alright, well, thank you for hanging out. That was fun. Have a good one.